Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want that. I would not we got great this year at SPD.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Hey, y'all. It is your Dukes of Dynamite download here, and we are live in Chicago, the Windy City, and boy, oh boy, has it been a blast to be at AEW All Out. Today we were at day 2 of FanFest. Last night, in case you couldn't tell, we were representing loud and clear. Very proud to be there at Rampage last night.
You probably heard Crayfish if you watched Rampage.
Or if you watched Dark, about an hour ago.
Mostly Dark.
Yeah, he was done by Rampage, as was
is
I.
typical. AEW guys, whether it's Dark, Elevation, a Dynamite, a Rampage, or the Big Mac Daddy on Sunday, All Out. AEW always gives us a pack card. A lot of star power this weekend, guys. Just walking around here has been such a blast. Getting to interact with all the names we've grown to love here over the last, year and a half of being a part of this just journey at Dynamite Download. It's been absolutely incredible. If you're following us on social media, my smile is going to be ear to ear probably until this time next week. I'm going to be just riding high. I got to meet all sorts of my favorites, but we got a big picture with the DMD. It's fantastic. We're going to be talking about the DMD's matchup. Defending her title against Chris Statlander, one of SPD's favorites in the women's division. And Britt does not take Statlander lightly. And if you watched Rampage, guys, when Statlander had both Hater and Rebel held up to execute that double move on those two, I think everyone looked at each other and said, this is going to be quite the challenger for Britt Baker. A lot of amazing, intriguing matchups for All Out. So let's bring up that bingo card. We know that there's going to be all sorts of people out there who are going to be filling out that bingo card for the Dynamite Download raffle that we're going to do. So make sure you
first and foremost, I want to show you the match card we got going on here. I know a couple things have changed. Obviously, we lost the Andrade Impact match. Before we dive into that, I want to say thank you everyone for joining us and welcoming us here. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you do fill out that bingo card, and we'll throw it up right now. But yes, like Crayfish said, if there is any echo, we're in one room, so please leave it in the chat, and we'll adjust accordingly to our sound and all of that. But it's been such a blast all weekend, meeting some of the stars and going to all the events. And obviously Rampage last night was incredible. The atmosphere is going to be off the charts for sure at Now Arena.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be epic. If last night was any indication of what we're going to have in store with this crowd, it's going to be huge. And look at these matches we have, guys. Look at this card. You couldn't build a cooler card. And let's just get into it, guys. Like, for the first match, Best Friends in Jurassic Express versus HFO. Crayfish, who are you picking?
I'm going to send you the
Well, for me, it's obvious the Best Friends and Jurassic Express, the momentum that those guys have, the upside that they have, it's really going to be incredible to see that. I think that, it's fun that AEW found a way to get, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and that just that natural babyface vibe that those guys bring. Now, again, I'm rooting for maybe HFO to win. I'm loving what Matt Hardy has done, and I think that warrior, that veteran mentality that he's brought to these matches with Orange Cassidy and his crew. I think it speaks volumes to what he has still in the tank. That said, honestly, when we look at these two teams on paper, I really love the HFO side. You know that Crayfish, I love myself some TH2. I think there's no secret that Private Party is a really incredibly talented, high upside tag team. A lot of fans here at All Out, you can tell, are just waiting for Private Party to blow up.
Shots.
Yes, sir. That said, there are few stars, homegrown talents that have really broke out over the last year or so, quite like Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy. I think that both of these guys represent talents that the AEW believes in, that looks at as talents now, that can kind of carry them moving forward. While I do think that Private Party is a team that maybe will be at that point in a couple years from now. So that's why I am leaning towards the Orange Cassidy side of things, even though in my heart there are some things going on. I'd like to pick HFO just to stay true to my heel roots. I do feel like this is going to be a way to get the fans excited, give everybody something to kind of head into the rest of the show really feeling good about.
Oh yeah, man, I'm on the same boat as you with this. I think that the best friends in Jurassic Express are going to win, but both these teams are stacked. And that's what's so fun about this match. We're going to have such a good time. Anytime we can see Matt Hardy in the ring is always a blast as well. So
you've been loving Luchasaurus as well.
Luchasaurus has been great lately too. So
we got to give credit where credit's due. And there's SPD. There's nothing quite like seeing Luchasaurus in person. I mean, this dude is absolutely huge.
He's as big as he looks on TV.
We are around a lot of the talent here at All Out, and my goodness, Luchasaurus seriously stands out. He is just a huge, huge dude.
Correct. Where's your head at with this SPD?
Obviously being Team Babyface, I'm a huge Jurassic Express fan for sure. But I've been loving what the HFO has been doing. I mean, like you said, Private Party is on a roll, and I think that they deserve more in-ring time and all that as well. But there is no hotter team other than what we see in the tag match to me than Jurassic Express right now. They've been on a roll back and forth and having some really great matches, obviously in the tournament and things like that. So with the addition to best friends in their corner, I think there's no one stopping these, even if it is the sleazy HFO, Dirtbag Jack Evans, a Private Party to watch and all that. So, I mean, it's going to be we've always said, like, these four teams, Yahtzee roll the dice and you can have their own kind of sub tournament between these two. And so I think it's a clean sweep for Dynamite Download here for the team of Jurassic Express and the team best friends.
Love it. All that means though is that HFO is going to win because we all picked the other guys. So
yeah, that's
usually how it works out for us.
Likes to swerve us a little bit. It's very possible too with the way. Let's be real. These teams are evenly matched, and I think that even though we might have leaned on the OC side of things, I do think that it would not be a shocker if HFO won this one. Certainly, especially the way that this feud has been progressing. Matt Hardy's team has found a way to put these guys through the ringer. So
that's true. And, speaking of, who's going to be put through the ringer, I mean, we're going to talk about Miro and Eddie Kingston. And it was a lot of fun at Rampage when we were there, the promo battle that we saw with Miro and Eddie's new shirt that Redeem D's Nuts. If you haven't seen that is on Shop AEW. So if you want to wear a shirt that says Redeem D's Nuts, we got you covered. If you didn't have any cool shirts already, there's one that is going to add to your closet. But Miro, who's been, God's favorite champion and on a huge roll right now. I think this is one of the more protected championships right now that in long term, this and the women's championship are the two that are going to be around the current champion's waist or shoulder for a long time. And even though the crowd is very hot for Eddie and he's doing some incredible stuff, this is just not his time right now. Dethroning Miro, it doesn't seem like it's going to be in the cards anytime soon for anyone, really. So my pick for this one is the Redeemer himself, God's favorite champion, and Miro.
Oh yeah, man, I feel it with this. This is the hardest match for me to pick. Seriously, I think Eddie Kingston's ready for a run, and I think the TNT Championship is the perfect belt for him. A guy he would be another fighting champion. And this is coming from the biggest Miro fan.
I am shocked. I mean, I'm genuinely shocked that this was the hardest match for you to pick because in typical crayfish fashion, I was agonizing over multiple picks in this show. And I'm sitting next to a guy who I always thought like would be he'd be saying that the championship reign of the Redeemer is going to last for eternity. You know, I think
that's what I want to have.
I think that I get it. Kingston is certainly, from a character perspective, very compelling.
He's ready for a belt, man. He's ready. This is the kind of belt that would be perfect for him. I'm picking Miro because I think that he should keep the belt for a long time. I think that his run's been great so far, but I wouldn't be shocked if it went the other way.
Yeah.
For me, that's one of these matches where it's like you could have a toss up and then go into a program. And I think a program with these two guys, as we saw on Rampage last night, would be a lot of fun.
Well, that was one of the things about Rampage that was so fun because, you know, to this point, one of the things that we here at Dynamite Download have talked about is a promo battle where Kingston can get engaged with this character of Miro, right? This is clearly the version of Miro that we all love right now. His promos have been just as good and just as dominant as his in-ring work, right? So I really think that a Kingston versus Miro program does make a lot of sense, Bonds. And if you want that to happen,
he has to beat Miro.
Kingston coming out on top. And let's be fair. Kingston's promos have also had a backbone in them that represent a fighter strategically attacking his opponent. Every great fighter has a weakness, folks, and Kingston has very clearly throughout this entire process laid out what that weakness is. He's taken down Miro's Achilles heel. He's going after it. He knows that the neck is going to be that choke point and we'll see. Because to this point, Miro, I think SPD nailed it. I think that Miro's reign right now is connecting and clicking on another level. For those fans that were here at All Out, it's been, this fan fest that we've had. It's evident that the chapter that Miro started is left far in the past, and this man is operating on a whole nother level right now. I don't know how anyone could pick against Miro right now. And that's, honestly, you could run down a list of names from this roster. If they were to challenge Miro, I would have a very hard time picking anyone to conquer God's favorite champion right now. This was a home run pick for me. I know that Bonds, maybe the inner turmoil is that you feel a loyalty, that maybe you're being blinded, that you love Miro, and maybe you should second guess that. Don't second guess it. Miro is absolutely crushing it right now. He's not losing this belt at All Out.
So next up on deck is, we had two matches that we both agreed on, the buy-in, the Best Friends Jurassic Express winning, and we all in favor of Miro taking it over Eddie Kingston. But we are moving on to QT Marshall, a Dynamite Download favorite, versus the debut of Paul White, the Giant. And, we saw a very unexpected heel turn by the Gun Club, and it's been a lot of fun at the Fan Fest. Us here at Dynamite Download have been messing with the Gun Club. It's been we've seen a lot of people. They are super cool guys, but we were booing the crap out of them. Really leaning into that heel stuff. So I think they're going to be excellent transition in the heels because it's easy to root for them and it's also easy to boo them. So they're going to be doing some awesome stuff with that. But speaking of that, QT Marshall, our guy, he was on fire at the Fan Fest. He was laying into the crowd. Man, is he doing some excellent stuff. And he has a task at hand. And, now it feels like the numbers game is in his favor. If you can take down a giant, if David can conquer Goliath, you do need some numbers. And we've seen this, obviously with big guys like Paul White and other things, more minions kind of like weakening it so you can come in for the final blow. But all in all, I'm going to go keep team babyface and I'm picking Paul White, his debut. And I think you got to give the people what they want. It was holding on hope for maybe like an Agogo surprise debut, but it's not looking that way. I think maybe they went for the twist with the Gun Club stuff. So I'm picking Paul White, even though we obviously are loving what QT Marshall has been doing. And we want to just give a special thank you because QT Marshall gave a glowing Dynamite Download endorsement at the Sammy Vlog press conference at the Fan Fest yesterday. It truly was absolutely amazing. He was just, even though he was ripping into everyone in the crowd, he called us out. He sent the positivity our way at Dynamite Download, and he called us out and he said, you guys need to listen to them, get them more followers because they're doing some great stuff. And so got to give love and props to QT Marshall. We are going to be booing him, getting him some heat, and we're going to be cheering Paul White so we can get those fans nice and split with that for sure. So, gents, what's your pick on that one?
I'm picking QT Marshall.
I loved you. I knew I loved you, man.
I think that the factory needs a big win. And how does it get bigger than beating the Giant?
The biggest man on the roster.
Yeah, Paul White. You can't get bigger than that. And so for me, this is a way to get the factory back on track. Go is going to be back soon. He's going to be healthy. The factory is going to be whole again. We got 2 new members coming in as well. So this stable's ready to ascend. And that's what we want to see. Me and Crayfish want to see that. Oh. We got to give the people what they want. And we are the people.
We are the people.
So I'm picking QT Marshall. And I wonder who Crayfish is picking.
SPD, this is a home run pick for me. I think QT Marshall finds a way by hook or by crook to slay the beast. And it's very fitting. It's very fitting that you mentioned the David versus Goliath like allegory from the Bible, because this is going to be exactly that. I've been preaching it from the mountaintops. QT Marshall is the working man's hero. He is the David in this story, and he is going to slay the giant. He's going to take down Goliath. I have a feeling, based off all the antics and all the humor and all the fun that we've been having with the Gun Club, I think there's no way that they don't have some sort of impact on this match in the end. I think that it's a great way to shock some folks. I think a lot of people out there would get really upset if QT lost or QT did win this match.
That's why it's going to be great when he does.
Exactly. I think if QT can come out on top on this one and he finds a way to cheat to win, I think that it would be even better.
So much heat.
Oh my
much
gosh, the heat that this guy will get, and deservedly so.
Inferno.
And if you follow QT on social media, which if you don't, you're missing out on some of the most funny troll job. He just roasts internet trolls nonstop. I love it. It's so great to see the truth teller QT Marshall doing what he does best. I think that this one's going to be set up for a lot of, going to surprise some folks. QT Cutter, 1, 2, 3. It's over, baby. Let's go. QT is, we are just as big of fans as he is of us. SPD, you said it. At the Sammy, we've had a lot of cool experiences during this whole weekend here at Dynamite Download. We've met some really amazing people, fellow fans who are also on board with what we preach. Power of positivity, folks. This company is based on it. But that experience for me was incredibly humbling. It's one that I'm going to remember for a long, long time. QT calling out your boys at Dynamite Download and saying, don't be like these other jerks. Be like the boys at Dynamite Download. Be like them. Build up the talent. Show the love. Don't be afraid of being a fan. And for somebody like QT to say that, who is usually a total jerk to everybody, and he doesn't apologize for it. It was a lot of fun.
Being honest.
It was a lot of fun, and there's no doubt about it. I'm gonna be a happy guy tomorrow because the DMD is gonna win and QT Marshall is gonna win. I'm gonna be a very, very happy crayfish with no voice.
Yeah.
That leaves us into our next match, and you said it, man. We're gonna switch into the women's match right here, and after we talk about the title match, we'll talk about the Battle Royale as well. So we're going to talk all things women's segment right here. So DMD, the DMD, which was awesome. We talked to her earlier today. Super nice and great. And then they had a great press conference at the Fan Fest today with Darby Allin, DMD, Jamie Hayter, Christian Cage, Excalibur, and Mark Henry were all there. So it was a lot of fun at the Fan Fest as well. But the DMD is making another title defense under an undefeated Chris Statlander this year. And obviously Crayfish mentioned it at the top of the show of the role that Statlander's been on, and it's pretty been unstoppable. And so I think this is going to be one of the toughest battles as a champion to date for the DMD. And obviously, you know, the field is deep in terms of competitors in the future, but what she's done so far in terms of defending her championship, this could be her toughest battle, pound for pound, for sure. So that being said, you know, just like Miro, no one's touching this champ right here. You know, whether it be her, you know, her backup, her muscle, or anything like that, she's going to win at all costs. You're going to have to pry her fingers out of the gold. You're going to have to rip her arms off and take the belt with her arms attached to it if you want to take the gold away from Britt Baker, man. So definitely Team DMD from SPD.
Love that.
Man, I have a feeling this one could be a clean sweep. I don't know, man.
You think of picking against a good doctor?
Yeah, I have a feeling that Crayfish is also going to have the DMD as his pick here. Not that Statlander is going to have a bad match or anything, but Britt Baker is on another level from the whole division right now, and she's a special, rare talent that's going to be the champion for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that there's no way that they can not have the belt on her right now, because she makes that belt even better. She elevates it.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody that's elevating the belt, you don't take it off of them.
Yep, you're right. I mean, in an era of wrestling where, you know, a lot of companies will put belts on people to make them a star or help get them over, I think Britt is the rare exception. Britt is making this belt mean something. This woman, I mean, I was a little starstruck, didn't know what to say, but I'll be honest with you. This woman is elevating this division. And this whole weekend, if you were lucky enough to be at FanFest like we were, it was a great representation as to why the DMD is where she is in this company, why TK and the team at All Elite Wrestling have extended her and decided to listen to Crayfish, like I've been saying from day one, and go all in on the DMD.
She's got a new action figure coming out.
This woman knows how to represent her brand and the company that she represents with pure class. No matter what situation she's in, no matter what question she's asked, she always finds a way to navigate that and find a way to spin a positive push towards her company and her brand. And that's one of the reasons why when you're a building company like AEW and you have goals like we know AEW has, as far as wanting to break through and legitimize what they mean in the landscape of professional wrestling in the history books of and change things moving forward. There are few stars that I mean, and this roster is growing. We all get it. There's a huge influx of talent, but the DMD is a homegrown star, fiercely loyal to this brand. And every single time you put this woman in a situation, you know she's going to step up to the plate. I think there's no way she loses to Chris Statlander. Now that, and again, we were here this weekend. The Statlander Nation, the little aliens out there, y'all out there. There's no doubt Statlander has a huge fan base and a huge following, and there's every reason to understand that there will be a point when Statlander is your AEW Women's Champion. I believe that. I think all of us here on this team believe that. SPD, I know she was a draft pick for you for that very reason.
Powerhouse.
Young, talented, big, athletic. But at the end of the day, as Britt said today at the press conference, she has all those things, but she's not the DMD. And that's all that needs to be said. You're not taking the belt off of Britt Baker. She's carrying this division headed into 2022. And the only contender that I think has that opportunity to truly take down the good doctor is Lamara Mara herself.
Cheers to that.
Your boy Crayfish, his pick to win the Women's Battle Royal, his second round draft pick, Thunder Rosa. There's no doubt in my mind if AEW does what I think they should do, and that's strike while the iron's hot. I think that they need to go all in on what we know. What a beautiful way to cap off this year, to start off 2021 with the hottest feud in professional wrestling Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. We heard that throughout this weekend, guys. David LaGreca on Busted Open talked about that ranks in his top 10 matches of all time. And we're at the front of the line when it came to promoting that being a true main event, a game changer for the division, and those two women delivered. There's no way that after what I saw these two do and what I know they're capable of, that I don't go all in with this, that I don't put a bow on this year by coming full circle and now closing out 2021 with Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker at Full Gear. I think it's a beautiful way to go. I think the fans want to see it. Thunder Rosa is that baby face that I think, after what I've seen, and I'm a diehard DMD believer here, guys, I don't think anybody truly completes Britt Baker, truly pushes Britt Baker to be the best version of the DMD, quite like Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, you get the best possible feud in this division, doing that, and that's what people want to see. Gotta give the people what they want.
That's right.
There was multiple questions during Britt's Q&A today about her Thunder. The fans want this so bad, and Tony knows. Tony listens. Tony Khan's smart guy. He pays attention, and so we're gonna get this again. It just depends on when.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that AEW, I think, and as fans, right? I think that's one of the things we love about AEW, and it was awesome to hear it. They pushed the culture. SBD, I know that's something that you love, that they push the culture, and also that they talk about how they listen to their fans. They want you to feel like how you react and how you feel about this product. We care about that, and we want to build on that. And it's evident if with that mentality, listening to the fan base, they are going to go all in. They are going to go back and revisit that feud. It's not done. There's no way. There's so much more to that. SPD, what do you think? Who is your pick to win the Battle Royal?
I couldn't agree more. The number one feud in AEW over the past year and a half has been DMD and Thunder Rosa. But that being said, I focused on that before, how, I wanted more sub-feuds in the division. And so having sub-feuds in the division, I think this is a perfect time to develop that. As we were seeing with the Bunny and Penelope Ford and Tay and Anna, like I would love to see a tag team feud for a little bit going on in that. And so my pick for the winner is Tay Conti. But that being said, you can delay Britt's opponent maybe, a few weeks and get those tag matches for a little bit. And I think you can have Jamie Hayter screw Thunder out of a victory here. And that way Thunder is starting to get ties back to Britt Baker and having to fight, whether it be Rebel again, and also fighting, Jamie Hayter, and then ultimately making Britt challenge her. And so, yes, winning this would earn her a spot at challenging Britt, but I think having her go through, climb the hill, climb the upward battle, and do that, and then you get that ultimate payoff. That way you can have Britt have a couple more title defenses, stretch it out, as we've said. And that way, if you have someone like Tay Conti, who is, hot baby face right now, and I think you go against, keep pushing the heel to DMD, that would work. So you can have Tay, and even, like I said, have Anna maybe be on deck as well, go through a few more opponents, make Thunder work even that much harder, and it'll be the ultimate payoff for her to ultimately dethrone the DMD down the line.
So what is your guys' pick for the most eliminations? This is our tiebreaker on our bingo card. Most eliminations in the Royale.
Well, I'll respond really quick, Bonds. I mean, hearing SPD talk through that, he's lining up. Sort of, we're on the same vibes.
Yeah.
I picked Jamie Hayter to have the most eliminations in this Battle Royal, and hearing SPD talk through it, I think he makes a lot of sense. If Hayter, one of her eliminations happened to be Thunder Rosa, I think that would be a great feud. I think that's a very smart call by you, SPD. You've been known to be a Nostradamus from a time to two, so I think that would be a really good pick by you. So yeah, I'm on board with seeing a dominant Jamie Hayter at this Rumble. I think that Jamie Hayter, everybody sees it. Hayter is definitely a powerhouse. I struggled because Jade was my first thought, but after my experience here at FanFest, I think that Hayter's got some things in mind for the women's division. I think that they see if you go all in on the DMD, you got to go all in on Jamie Hayter too. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I like where your head's at, but I think that just because you have the most eliminations doesn't mean you're going to be involved in the storylines. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity to remind the fans why Nyla Rose is the native beast. And beast is highlighted there. You have to have her go out there and just throw people around.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people in the division that are a lot smaller than her. She could go in there and just throw
That's
her
true.
weight and just dominate some people. And obviously we don't know everybody's going to be in it yet. But this is going
Could be a surprise.
There's going to be some surprises, I'm sure. So getting Nyla in there and having her go and just throw people around and
Makes
dominate
sense.
would be a lot of fun for the crowd as well, getting to see people get thrown around. And also it makes a lot of sense because we talk about it all the time. Nyla is the gatekeeper of the women's division, and keeping that strength up, making her look great and strong, makes a lot of sense to me.
I get that. I mean, I've been saying it. Nyla is the gatekeeper of the women's division, and certainly she's had some chinks in the armor. So reminding her, especially in a battle royal format where Nyla can really stand, she can stand out. I think that's a really smart call. SPD, what are you thinking in this battle royal? Who do you? Obviously, you made a good call with Ty Conti as a win. Who do you see as the most eliminations going forward?
I have to agree with Brian Rosa. Jade, I think you have to keep positioning her as a powerhouse that she is. We saw her quickly go through someone on Dark that was aired today. We watched it yesterday. And so I think you have that. And I'm all for a Nyla Rose Beast versus Beast feud. I think it would be a little bit more beneficial to have a smaller stature person against Jade right now. Ultimately, Beast versus Beast would be pretty cool. So someone that's experienced and kind of, help maybe lead the charge. We talked about it. Even, yes, we talked about Thunder Rosa and Jade feuding, which would be really great. Ultimately, that's two marquee names right there in the division that would go head to head for sure. So I said Jade, I think that will, even though we don't have her position to win, but having it look like the beast, in the Rumble or the Battle Royale, I think it'd be a perfect position for that. But I like not having a clear cut, and I could easily see Jamie Hayter winning as well, and just being like Britt Baker, I told you so, and just leaning into that. I really hope there is a few surprises. I think that'd be great. For those of you who did watch Dark tonight, it was incredible how Sky Blue was against Velvet, and the crowd last night was so hot for Sky Blue. If you haven't watched it, watch this match. You will hear the crowd just erupt for Sky Blue. And this is the first I've heard of her, first we've seen of her. And she stole that match from Red Velvet. She earned herself a spot in the Battle Royal. Tony Khan came out after and called her out. She said, get back here. How would you like to be in the Battle Royal Sunday? And you can tell the way someone emotes, and it was legit. And the whole crowd erupted. And this person, Sky Blue, she's a worker. If you haven't seen her, you're going to see a lot more of her, I have a feeling, in the future. So most wins or most eliminations is Jade for me for that as well. But yes, Brian, you make also another great point there. Thunder feuding with Serena Deeb. That is literally two of the best technical wrestlers in AEW. Would absolutely make the division. That might be the more focus of the division, honestly, if those are going toe to toe on that. Crayfish, you chime in on that because I know you have a lot to say.
Really quick, I think that
I'll do the muting.
I agree with I agree with Thunder Rosa that she told us this weekend that Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa didn't get the platform that it deserved. In the NWA. and that's not a slam on the NWA whatsoever. I think NWA's partnership with AEW has been, I would say, incredible. I think that we've benefited a lot as AEW fans
A lot of talent
from that. But I agree with Thunder that if you put that feud on display in AEW, I think this passionate fan base would be in awe of what those two could do. And I think that they would get a lot of love because, both these women,
two amazing workers,
incredible technicians, both approach the business with and each match with a fire and a drive to want to to tear their opponent apart. You know what I mean? Like they approach their matches with a fight mentality. And there's a lot of pride. Both are veterans. I think that would be an incredible feud. And as we've talked about here on Dynamite Download, there's a need to flesh out this women's division, give us more sub feuds, not everything. And I know even as a DMD fanboy, even I have to admit, we need to have some of these sub feuds start to blossom. And I think that Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa, if that was a path, you could trust those two women to put on a match that could deliver in a grand stage.
I want to see that on a pay-per-view.
Right.
A pay-per-view worthy match.
Totally agree.
I want to see that.
That said, if I'm booking the show, I think both those women have so much more to give. If they're paired with a younger talent,
they can elevate
a talent that's not as polished as either one of them. Because Thunder Rosa, I've said it over and over. When you watch her on Dark, she's literally coaching girls through matches. I watch it and you see it, and it's beautiful to see her command of the ring. She's an in-ring general, and so is Serena Deeb. So if you want to do what I see AEW doing, and that's pairing your veterans who are polished and who know the business and who get it with young talent to try to help teach them the ropes and start to get them to elevate their game, I think that you keep both of them as the ring generals that they are and pair them up with younger talents. And that's why I've been calling for it. I know it seems odd when I've heard people kind of question it on social media. Shocker of the year, people argued on social media. But I thought that Jade versus Thunder Rosa would be such an incredible feud because you could really help Jade, which we think is a uncut gem, right? Yeah. She'd come out so much more polished in the end just by working with Thunder.
Yeah, that's a perfect opponent because you have somebody who's so physically imposing and clearly talented, going against somebody who's probably the best wrestler in the division.
You could say that, man.
That would be awesome as well. Again, absolutely. There's a lot of good matches we could get out of this division. I love it. Yep. There's so much talent in there now, and it's just we're waiting for it to mesh together. We're getting some really good stuff, and I think that it's on the way, man. We're going to be doing we're ready for a couple, more than one match on Dynamite. We're at that point.
And that's what I was going to say. Yep. Before we transition to the next match, everyone here who's a loyal listener of Dynamite Download knows my favorite wrestler on the planet, Pac, was pulled from this pay-per-view, and it felt like Santa guaranteed that I was going to have a pony on Christmas. And unfortunately, Christmas morning came and it didn't happen. I was bummed. There's no good way to announce that Andrade versus Pac and get pulled from the card. That's an incredible match. But for those of us out there who do agree that the women's division is ready to take another step forward and grow, you got to say sometimes, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. And I think that this is an example where the new beginning of a women's division stepping forward will happen because of this. They got this place on the card. I think the fans are going to be hot for this women's battle royal. And I think that putting that on the main card with the full house in the building is going to actually help a lot.
The best wrestling city in the country.
Yep.
Like,
Chicago is a
perfect.
great wrestling town for sure.
Perfect.
SPD, what do we think going forward? Let's get that next matchup.
Well, before we transition to the next match, a lot of chat in the buzz in the chat, which we absolutely love. I think the women's division is one of the most intriguing with the potential of it. The constant, I think we can all agree the recent additions to who we all are huge fans of has elevated it extremely. But adding a little more depth will do so much for it, and having Rampage and more things like that. And the key word is we consistently are talking about is sub feuds. You need more and more and more. And we've said about the tag thing. Penelope Ford. I wanted to book, Anna Jay kind of coming back at the Battle Royal, but she came back a little early. And then you can focus on those tag things. I think the pairing of Penelope Ford and Bunny is so great. If you add maybe the Iconics down the line, another instant tag team, and even Britt can start tagging. And then obviously a dream tag team, which Brian, you mentioned, is Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa. If those two team up, I don't think anyone, male or female, could stop them.
That's
and put
awesome, dude. You just ran through. Man, Bonds and I are sitting over here, and thank God you had the mic muted because we would have been talking over you the whole time. Every team that you just rattled off, we're like, yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And then you throw out what Brian Rosa was talking about, Deeb and Thunder together. Can you imagine
Who beats that team?
Honestly,
Nobody.
I love that idea. And SPD, you're over here talking about Jamie Hayter and DMD tagging up eventually. That tag match, sign me up. Take my money right now, dude. I will be there. If that event happens, Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, I will give you my month's worth of pay to go to that one. I'm not kidding. That is where I gotta be there for that, right? So I think that's a great call by you, man. And for me, as a guy who absolutely loves tag team wrestling, folks, if you're new to this channel and you're just tuning in, the tag division has been the backbone of AEW. I've been preaching it from the beginning when we were just young pups here at Dynamite Download. The tag team division is my favorite in the company. I think it's absolutely stacked. Yep. This weekend has been a reminder of how amazingly stacked it is. And I think that tag team wrestling is my favorite form of wrestling. So if you're going to take the women's division talents that you're going to talk about Thunder Rosa and DMD, my first and second round picks in our draft, sign me up, man. I'm all for having more women tag team wrestling. I think that makes a lot of sense.
We're ready for women's tag team championships.
Yeah.
We're ready.
We're getting there.
Rosters.
Very close, guys. And, just talking about tag teams, we'll talk about the tag team match in just a little bit. We're going to shift into the Jon Moxley match as well. But I'll say it again. But first and foremost, it did kind of surprise me a little bit that looking at the card, how All Out was shaping up was majority singles matches for being a tag team first. Essentially company. I think they are pretty much, it's so much depth of tag team. There's so many teams that we would obviously love to see. We saw obviously FTR, PNP, the Acclaimed coming back, things like that. So I really was surprised how many singles.
I gotta chime in. I have to chime in because the reason why, SPD, is because that Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers match, you do not want to be another tag match on this show and have to compare yourself against that match. I think everybody here that we've interacted with, whether it was at the tailgate parties, everybody that we've interacted with here, whether it's at the tailgate parties or at the Fan Fest events, everybody is saying across the board, this tag team match is going to be incredible. So I get it. Moxley versus Satoshi. What do you think about this one? I know that New Japan is not necessarily something that we here at Dynamite Download are super familiar with. So I think we're going in a little blind to this one, other than the fact that we all here believe Jon Moxley is AEW's badass leader, the kind of that heartbeat to the men's single division.
Absolutely. He is the heartbeat. And that is, we are the first to admit we don't know much about him or what he's done in New Japan Pro Wrestling. With the Forbidden Door open, we're getting a new taste. We're getting a little taste. I always like a little new taste. Would you like a taste? as speaking of tag teams, 2.0 is slowly growing on me as scumbags for sure. But anyways, Jon Moxley is not going to be losing anytime soon on his home court in AEW. If you're bringing in an outsider with the Forbidden Door or swinging open, I cannot see him losing to anybody. I think this is just anytime you have a Moxley in a singles match, it's going to be that ground and pound, very, very, very physical stuff. And so I think we're going to just expect a standard Moxley match. I don't know what to expect, so this is my pick for this, obviously, is Jon Moxley, one of the locker room leaders, one of the leaders at AEW through there. And I cannot imagine him losing on a grand scale like this.
Agreed. Completely. Moxley is in a different level right now where he is cutting these really intense, amazing promos.
Scorched earth.
He's going to a different place as a performer. I feel like since losing the title, the world title, he's kind of been in this weird flux of going in and out of feuds, and he knows it himself. And he's ready to kind of just like turn it on and say, I'm Jon Moxley. I'm the guy that carried this company through the pandemic. I'm the man. And I'm just going to go out there and start beating the hell out of people. And I see this Jon Moxley as the most dangerous version of that guy. This is the guy that's been the champion, who's held the most prestigious belt in the world. And he's the man. And I don't think you can have him lose on a pay-per-view just because of that. No matter what, this is something that's going to be a huge moment for him, because there's only 4 pay-per-views a year. You have to showcase your guy.
Yeah.
And no matter what, like Kenny Omega's a champion. Jon Moxley is the top guy in this company. He's the guy. And so you have this guy ready to go. He is not losing on pay-per-view. It's just not going to happen.
That's a really like smart, powerful take by Bonds.
Yeah.
I think that always a fan favorite here at Dynamite Download. I think that's a really smart point. I think that Moxley's promo work has made it very, very clear. He's kind of done being on the back burner.
Yep.
And I think that most diehard Moxley fans would say, hey, we love what Mox is doing. We love Wild Thing. We love his interactions with Eddie Kingston. And, every time we get a chance to see Mox, he brings an intensity that, the fans enjoy. But I think the fun and games are over. I think that, we talked a lot. We've been talking a lot about this with the return of CM Punk and what happened during Punk's sort of neutered reign at WWE.
Interesting take on that one.
And I think that Jon Moxley.
Say his name right.
I can't do the John like you. But I will say that Jon Moxley is in that kind of that role here at AEW, where this is a guy who is your flag bearer. This is a guy who, whether he has the belt or not, is really the man that made it all happen. I mean, he talked about it. He is the paradigm shift. When Moxley arrived in AEW, everything changed. And I think that obviously there have been a lot of huge debuts, especially recently with AEW. And I think it's no doubt about it. CM Punk's return is epic. But I think Jon Moxley's role in this company is not going to be overshadowed by anybody. And I think that he's finally ready to say that's not changing until I want it to change.
The only thing that's different is there's a lot more big fish now.
Yeah, which he's okay with.
Right.
Moxley's not afraid of anybody.
Now he's going to have more big matches.
Yeah.
All that's going to do is line his pockets and make him an even better champion.
Great call.
When he's the champ again, because he will be again. And it's going to happen at some point here, probably soon.
Do you think that Moxley is the guy who becomes the first 2-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion?
Yes.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. I think that makes a lot of sense because he deserves it. First of all, like I said, man, this guy held the division through the pandemic, was the man every week until Kenny got out there and beat him. And obviously that reign's been very controversial, and Kenny's done a lot of cheating, lots of dirty, dastardly things, and
very different reign than
very different
Moxley.
reign. And so Moxley's got this last little prestigious run as champ, and I think that at some point here soon he's going to be the first guy to have it again. I think
I'll drink a Mike's Hard Lemonade to that.
Yes, sir.
I will drink my beer out of our Dynamite download mugs, which are available on our website, AEW Dynamite download, right there. So
yes, and all the people in the lobby buy our merch.
Babyface and Babyface.
Well, you have the sweatshirt on.
I know, but they can see it.
All right.
Before we dive any further, we are getting into the meat and potatoes, the last three matches that are probably the most important matches on the card. For those of you in the chat, cold spray break really quick there. So we've been using the cold spray. We ran into Cold Spray Cutler a few times this week and just tell him how great his gimmick is. So we're taking a quick cold spray break right there. So to cool down, this stuff's the real deal, man. I think we need a sponsorship for sure from Cold Spray because it works good and it's fun to spray too. So
Fun to spray.
He said it's fun to spray. I'm muting their mic once in a while just because of the feedback as well. But the cold spray is some good stuff. But for those of you guys who have seen our Twitter or Instagram, or go ahead to our Instagram at Dynamite Download and check out our story because we had a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we've posted. Follow us on Instagram. A lot of videos and things that throughout the weekend and especially leading up to tomorrow as well. But fill out your bingo card that we had. Send us your picks. Send us your picks as well, and we'll have a little prize pack for the winner on that. And so fill out those. The All Out prediction card is on our Instagram and on our Twitter, and then repost it. Make sure you put your name or your handle on there as well. But yeah, so thank you. Hey, what's up, Lori? You're perfect timing because we are getting into the depth of the card. The match that I am. We got 4 matches to talk about, and these are the top 4 matches. I mean, but let's just talk about it. MJF versus Chris Jericho, the final fight. If Chris Jericho loses, he will never wrestle again. So if you couldn't already tell, obviously Team Babyface is sitting over here alone on one camera, and Team Heel is over there, tag teaming me like True Heel's over there. But I don't need a partner. I'm like the Murder Hawk Monster. I can take you 1-on-2 just like that. So MJF is not winning this, even though I think the rub that it would give him would elevate him to a next galaxy, retiring Chris Jericho. But I think Jericho has so much left in the tank. Granted, you don't want to run out the tank on empty and then go out into the sunset. That being said, like what we're seeing out of Sting and other things like that, he's too good for AEW, too important to AEW to get essentially retired. I know there's a lot of other things going on, but I feel like he's hitting his stride at a time that most people couldn't. And for MJF to beat him 4 times out of be 4-0 on him is tough. But if you have Jericho win, which Jericho is my pick to win of this, of course, because if he loses, I will cry my eyes out profusely, and I'll leave All Out and go sit in the car and just cry myself to sleep. I will fall asleep in the car crying myself. But anyways, I think what you do after that is very intriguing. So Jericho, I think you can kind of position this is where I think a placement of a debut would work. That way you can transition one or both of these guys away from each other. Jericho gets that notch on his belt. He doesn't retire. And then a debuting someone or a new fresh face to feud with MJF or Jericho even. And that way you can go on like that. So my pick for SPD, obviously Team Babyface, is the GOAT, Chris Jericho.
Well, I'm glad that you have hope. And that makes it all the more sweeter. I'm sure MJF is really hoping that you have just a lot of optimism that your guy can come out on top, because when he breaks your spirit on Sunday, it's going to make it all the more sweeter for him. As MJF has said, in typical heel fashion, he was like Eric Cartman. The tears of you marks are so sweet, and he is going to enjoy I'm going to bottle your tears tomorrow, SPD, and I'll mail it to MJF, that dirtbag, because he'll be more than happy to break your heart tomorrow. I don't see it. I've gone back and forth. This was the toughest match for me to book, because I agree with you. I think Jericho has a lot to offer. I think that Jericho, as a fan of his, it's hard to say, yes, I'm going to book Chris Jericho to be done. But I think that Jericho is such a renaissance man. I think he has a lot of other interests and a lot of options in his career that can keep him both relevant, making money, part of the business. I mean, Talk is Jericho is a great podcast. He tours with Fozzy. He already has a gig as a commentator, which we all like.
He's doing a great job.
We think that the more he's in that role, the better it's going to be.
He's just going to get even. He's great.
And I'm with Bonds. I'm on Team Heel, homie. And I think that MJF. I'm telling you, dude. MJF is the heel of our generation.
That's facts.
He talks a big game, but this dude delivers. How many times, even over there as a diehard inner circle Mark, have you had to have us help lift your jaw off the floor after an MJF segment, because this dude always finds a way to embarrass people on the microphone and back it up in the ring. I'm with Bonds. I'm going to hand it over to him because I have a feeling that his number one overall draft pick, having that on your roster, I have to think that with the potential of having the honor and the ability to gloat over retiring one of the greatest ever, has to have you salivating at how the upside of MJF.
Tom Brady might have beat Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. The old GOAT beat the young GOAT, but history will not repeat itself. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the man, the best guy on the mic, the number one pick, the man who's going to retire, the GOAT. Because eventually, we all know it, and he told us before, he will be the GOAT. He's going to take that mantle, and it's going to be so sweet, because after the show, SPD is going to be so sad.
Yeah.
And we're going to be hanging out in the bar, and he's going to be in the room sleeping.
Why do you got to do me dirty like that?
We'll be drinking with Ric Flair, and he'll be going.
I gotta say,
drinking his own tears in bed.
There's a lot of comments this weekend about potentially this being a passing of the torch weekend with CM Punk. If CM Punk if Darby Allin, who I am the conductor of the Darby Express, if he's able to beat CM Punk, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I think people are sleeping on this being a match that is representative of the mantle being passed, and that is the mantle of the GOAT from the last 30 years to the GOAT of the next 30 years of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I'm with you, Bonds. Team heel all day long. MJF is going to – and I think it sets the stage for the heartbreak of retiring Jericho, for a conquering hero to come in. And I think we all here think that at SPD, we all think Brian Danielson would be the perfect stage.
Do it with me.
Yes. Yeah. We'll all be doing it in the crowd.
Yes.
That is for sure.
We'll be crying doing this.
It'll be a mixture of tears. It'll be a mixture of tears of sadness and joy, because that'll be the perfect moment for SPD, right, SPD? The sadness of Jericho retiring.
No.
With the return of Daniel Bryan.
No. I don't want it.
It's a perfect send-off.
Like I said,
we'll see. This is one of those
we
matches that we finally here at Dynamite Download we disagree on. I think this is going to be an interesting one.
I can't wait for this match.
Certainly a lot of intrigue, SPD, like you talked about. We are really getting into that the real upper echelon of matches on this card. You talk about just the build-ups to this one, and I don't think that there's any match on All Out that has had the build quite like this. I mean, the story between MJF and Jericho dates back till the beginning of this year, guys, with MJF, that weasel, the guy, we talk about it all the time, man. This dude is playing chess. This dude is on another level. If you wanted a guy on the AEW roster to be your mob boss, you'd want MJF to be that guy. Dude is cold-blooded, willing to stab anybody in the back, and truly is always thinking and maneuvering ways in order for his team, his side, to come out on top. Because when you're in the pinnacle, baby, you're always on top. I think it makes a lot of sense. MJF is going to find a way, SPD, and I'm sorry to say it. You'll have your feel-good moment, but it will not be at the expense of Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Why you guys got to do me dirty like that? I know, before I rebuttal on that, in the chat, what do you guys think the main event is going to be? I know there's a lot of different chatter because I want to hear what you guys think is going to be the main event, because if this match is the main event, I think, the writing in the stars is that this could be an MJF topper and a surprise debut, whatever it may be. I feel like any of these last four matches could main event the show, whether it be MJF, Chris Jericho, Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, Kenny Omega, and Christian Cage, CM Punk versus Darby. Any four of those can main event this show. So for those of you guys in the chat, what do you guys think the main event's going to be? But I know, as we've seen Team Heel team up on Team Babyface, I'm going to recruit our real life mascot of Dynamite Download. Come over here. We're going to have a tag match. And so this is Mr. Dynamite Downloader himself right here. We got the Lucha mask and the belt right here. So this is a real life Dynamite Download person right here. So you can stick with me for the rest of the show so I can have a little bit backup, even though let's give it a flex off. Yeah. Look at that. Let's see your flex, Team Heel.
We don't need to
flex.
flex.
Sweatshirt on.
We flex intellectually on Team Heel. We're always outsmarting you guys. Hey, I'll be honest with you. You guys can have the brawn. We'll have the brains. That's what we do over here at Dynamite Download, folks.
Oh, look, SPD froze.
Oh, yeah, we got him froze, dude. We got you froze. You stuck. Oh, that's the only way I'm getting froze, that cold spray, son. But talking about cold spray, can we get into that tag match, please? Because this is the one that I've been dying to talk about. SPD, honestly, out of everybody on our crew, out of everybody on our team here, I want to hear your take. I think the fans of Dynamite Download know, those of you who have been following us on this journey, SPD, you've become such a mark for the Bucks. And from day one, the minute you saw Rey Fenix, I think that you kind of turned into a little kid again. Like, it's so cute. It's so adorable to watch SPD.
That was the most he marked out. And he met everybody. And that was the most.
It's
awesome.
So adorable watching this. Like, SPD always tries. I'm an emotional dude. SPD is always in cool, calm. He's sort of that leader who always tries to keep us steady. And watching him just kind of turn into a puddle of mush when he sees Rey Fenix is really awesome to see. Who do you pick to win this one? The Bucks have been such great champions. Bonds and I talked about it a lot this weekend, and just reflecting on AEW and how much we love this company. We talked a lot about it this weekend, that the Bucks title reign feels like one of those title reigns that people might not appreciate it right now, but in a few years when they're not doing it anymore, it's one of those title reigns that we both kind of think people are going to look back on and be like, man, I wish that
appreciated that.
I wish we would have got a new bio shirt when it was selling. Like if you didn't get an NWO shirt when they were hot, you're going to go back and buy an NWO shirt, right?
Yeah,
the Bucks have been a team that are putting on some of the best content week after week after week. They're absolutely hilarious. And their matches are bangers. SPD, two of your favorite tag teams in a steel cage.
Let him make his pick.
Tell us, who do you pick?
Oh my gosh, come on. I mean, this is a tough one, only just because I mean, it's an easy choice, but a tough choice, because these two teams, yes, are some of the biggest mark out ones. I am, inner marks through and through on this. I am one of the biggest Rey Fenix fans in terms of just sheer open jaw on the floor wow factor of the stuff that he can actually do. You know, I have my own Ray Phoenix pretty much right here next to me. It's the Ray Phoenix right there. So there's no doubt in my mind that the Lucha Brothers are going to walk away with gold around their waists and shoulders, because the crowd is so over for Penta. Cero Mano, and just the incredible stuff in the stipulations that, you know, locked in the cage. Even though we saw the Stooge Cutler cold spray spraying people off the cage, which was probably one of the funniest shenanigans I've seen in a while. And I think that we will see the cold spray Cutler and do some stuff, but ultimately the shenanigans are going to cost the Young Bucks the belt, who have been holding the belt for 300 plus days, as they said on Twitter earlier today. So this is going to be the match of the night for me. Absolutely. Whoever follows this, good luck. Even though every match on this is a great match, but this one by far I think is going to be a 5-star, 10-star, 50-star match. There is, I would say, 1,000-star match, infinity times infinity match, for sure. So there's these two teams have always delivered, and will always deliver. And I think you putting the titles on the Lucha Brothers right now is smart. I don't think they're hotter than they've ever been. And this, to me, and we've talked about it in past shows, that it will kind of spiral the elite out of whack. You know, if the Young Bucks lose here and then Kenny loses at Full Gear, it'll be fun to kind of see their fall throughout over the next few months and the shenanigans that they do. But I think they're going to put on such a stellar, unique match. If they do something off the top of the cage, I mean, I'm just going to be literally, I will lose my voice for this, screaming so much for it. But Lucha Brothers all the way, winning gold. This is their time. And, you know, even though Pac is not there, I think this is their time regardless. And Young Bucks, even though I got my dangly in still, I've been rocking the dangly all week. I'm a dangly mark, but it's Lucha Brothers time, baby.
As much as it breaks my heart as a diehard Young Bucks fan, new bio, I like their new bios every day. I agree with you, SPD. I think that. Hello, Mr. Dynamite download.
Hello.
I think it's time to start seeing the elite kind of lose some steam. We saw it with Kenny Omega losing the Impact title to Christian. There's chinks in the armor. They're not going to have help. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity to put the belts on the Lucha Brothers, who are hot. The fans love these guys. And like we talk about this all the time, every pay-per-view feels like the end of a season of a TV show.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's usually some new stuff going on. And I think this is the most vulnerable belt on the card. This is the one that I could see changing the easiest, just because I think that we've already kind of gotten that little hint. Hey, the elite are not going to be the elite much longer in their current iteration, in their current version of what they're doing. They're not going to have all the belts anymore. And I think that that's something that could really start here, because the Impact title it's not irrelevant in AEW, but it's not as big of a deal as losing an AEW belt in this company.
Right.
And for me,
AEW.
Exactly, it's AEW. Like, this is important. And I think that this could cause a lot of issues and make for some great TV, because to be completely honest, I think that some of this stuff's been played out for a long time. And I think it's ready for a fresh take on this group. And I think they're in their best iteration. I don't want the Bucks to change who they are. I think the Bucks are awesome right now.
Yeah.
But I think that without the belts, desperate, clinging for that relevance, could make them even more fun, more ridiculous, less polished, and more interesting.
I like where you're heading there. I like that. I think we just got off of a segment that really divided the Dukes of Dynamite.
We're all back together.
And I think now it's a beautiful thing. Even Mr. Dynamite behind us. We're all together. We're all together. Settle. Man. We're all on board with the Lucha Brothers winning. And while I said leading into this one, that the Bucks title reign feels like one that might be one that is underappreciated now and will all be waxing poetic later on down the road. I think that the Lucha Brothers in this environment, the history, I like what AEW's done with the history of these two teams, building on this, predating AEW. These two brothers, their history kind of leading that to the forefront. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it touches on the fact that these two teams have been doing this for a long time all over the world. And I love that AEW has legitimized the Lucha Brothers as championship contenders at this point, because we've seen, how many times have we seen challengers step up to the Bucks that we thought could beat them, and they've fallen short. I think that putting them in a steel cage, TK is obviously tired of the outside noise, tired of the cold spray, tired of the cold spray, and they're ready to allow it to be a fair and square challenge. And I think SPD is going to be he's going to be marking out so hard. He's going to be marking out so hard at the fact that the Lucha Brothers are going to take down the Young Bucks. And
don't do my guy like that.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what these two teams can do in a steel cage. And this is the type of setting where you have, given the reign the Bucks have had, that makes sense for them to lose the belts. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, you're putting them against.
I'm on board with you.
You're putting them against a team that is universally recognized as a top team. We all see what Penta and Phoenix can do in the ring, and putting them in a steel cage on a pay-per-view with this kind of stage feels right for a transition, and it's
they absolutely deserve it. They are such worker. I mean, you see the work that Ray Phoenix has put in, and it'll be so fun to finally see it get rewarded. And so
you've been calling from that. You know, honestly, dude,
I call them to be the next champs like months ago, and I said Ray Phoenix will surprise return, and then they will dethrone the Young Bucks.
Yeah,
and we kind of didn't see it in the cards, and we kind of figured, okay, PNP with the heat, or the stuff that they're getting, or even FTR even. But now, when this kind of got intertwined, it's like, okay, yeah, of course, this makes perfect sense.
It does, and that was one of the reasons why I picked the Lucha Brothers on my team in the draft, was because I agree with you. While the Bucks are the champs now, I do think that the Lucha Brothers are the next tag team champions. I think we're all aligned on that, and I think it's well earned. I think that, both in singles competition that we've seen earlier on in the pandemic era, I think that Ray Phoenix in particular was a guy who was a standout. And it feels like that was forever ago, given how much content AEW has given us. But I think it is time, reward those guys. And honestly, dude, I know that everybody's looking for PNP to get a title shot. Are you going to tell me that PNP versus Lucha Bros is not a match that would just be an absolute mind-blowing banger of a match? Tell me you don't want to see that happen.
We would get a match instead of a bunch of interference, which is why it'd be more fun.
Good point.
I think that when you have that stuff going on, I enjoy the Elite being goofy and ridiculous. But if you want to see the best possible match with the best payoff, you do it that way, where you have these guys, they're going out there, they're going to war, and they're going to have a banger, and you're not going to leave with a bad taste in your mouth.
Yep.
Because part of, honestly, when the one that really got me was when Kenny and Jungle Boy, that match, where man, that left such a bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, man, because he beat him. He beat Kenny.
Yeah, he had him beat. Which is, I think that's a good thing that you felt that way, though, right?
That was the point.
That's the point.
That was the point. And that's why they're doing such a good job. They're making me feel what I'm supposed to feel. Even though I love these guys, I'm a fan of these guys, even me as a heel is like, I'm like, oh, man.
Welcome to the team, by the way.
Well, obviously, after a couple weeks ago, I got to be a heel now. I just got to lean into it, man.
Lean into it. Everybody's got the dark side.
Everybody's got the dark side. You got to lean into it.
That's one of the catchphrases here. Yep. Crayfish special right there.
Yes, sir.
Talking about another crayfish special, SPD, let's transition to the next match. We're going to do a real quick. Get out of here, Dynamite, Mr. Dynamite. Move your behind over to Team Babyface. You are not welcome here on Team Heel. I'm going to tell you right now, I have felt it's so weird for me to feel this way rooting for Darby Allin, but I feel like I'm a heel in Chicago right now. As the conductor of the Darby Express, it is so weird to feel like my love for this young, absolutely reckless, amazing anti-hero in Darby Allin. I've always felt like my love for Darby was the thing that kept me on Team was the glimmer of hope in my heel heart. He was the baby face that I loved. And now I'm starting to feel like maybe, just maybe, it was a matter of fate that I love Darby Allin, because in Chicago, boy, am I a heel rooting for Darby. I am all in, baby. I am all in. Darby Allin over CM Punk. Everybody is just automatically assuming CM Punk over Darby Allin in Chicago. Folks, Darby Allin has been your TNT champion, has had countless main events in the calendar year of 2021. This young man has seen the pressure, has every single time that he's had the stage. He said it today. People think that this is the biggest match of this kid's career. How many times have we said that about Darby Allin's journey in AEW? It feels like every match is the biggest stage of this kid's career. He makes these matches what they are, because he goes into them with a reckless abandon. He doesn't care what he has to go through to win, and that raises the stakes of the matches that he's in. This is a kid who I think right now is going to look around in Chicago, and there's going to be a moment that it's going to feel like, man, there are a lot of people who believed in me, but look around now, there's a lot of doubters. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, because when you're Darby and a guy who is not a person who fits the mold, sometimes having those reminders or those doubters say that you're not going to win. You're facing CM Punk in Chicago. You have no shot. Those are the types of things that can reignite a fire in a man, like that can fuel you to go to another place, to dig a little deeper, and to want to prove those people wrong that much more. I think that Darby is stepping into the Lion's Den. CM Punk in Chicago, his first match back, and I'm sorry, I do not derail the Darby Express. This thing is going full bore, folks. I think that Darby Allin beats CM Punk in Chicago. This is the passing of the torch. How many times have we heard the same line that if CM Punk was 15 years old, Darby Allin would be his favorite wrestler? Well, if that's the case, I think the world on a bigger scale is going to be reminded as to why that is true. And that's because Darby Allin is this generation's anti-hero, anti-establishment, anti-mold of what it means to be a professional wrestler. This is the guy that can shatter that mold for the next generation of talents. And I'm excited to see what he's willing to go through to prove that he belongs in this matchup, and he is better than the best in the world.
Man, I love where your head's at, but I just can't agree.
Does that help?
Babyface side,
Does
bro.
that help?
Yeah, hop over there. Or I guess I can.
Yeah.
I'm the baby face here because
You are.
CM Punk's
CM Punk's the
hero, man.
face here.
And I don't think you can have him lose in his return to the ring. People have been waiting for this for 7 years. And I just don't think in Chicago you can do that.
I know.
I don't think you can. And
You will suck the energy out of the crowd, I think.
Yeah,
Even though we all okay.
Oh, don't even chime in on. We all love Darby. Don't even give me that.
You don't love
cry
Darby. I love
of
Darby.
garbage.
Even
over
though
there.
all
I'm
of
not buying it.
AEW universe,
Baby face, get out of here.
I don't know. I've been vocal about my struggles with Darby, and I have grown. You have helped me see the light and the silver lining and the iron that sharpens the other iron with Darby. And I have said I don't like the 90-10 booking, but I've liked the last few months booking with the pairing with Sting with Darby. So what he's been doing over the last few months, I do love. I do love the heart, and he's been on a powerful offensive matches, and that is the Darby that I like. I don't like the reckless, the over reckless and beat down stuff. He's getting a lot of offense in, and and doing things like that. So that is the Darby that I really enjoy and loved from day one. When he started to be the crash test, I mean, that's when I started to hop off the Darby Express and get on the Jericho cruise. So Bonds, who you pick? You're picking CM Punk, and why
I'm
was that?
picking CM Punk because he's still the best in the world. He's going to show that because
Look in my eyes, what do you see?
the cult's personality, bro. That's what you see.
As John Silver said at the BTE background, he likes to change the words of songs. He goes, "Look in my butt, what do you see?"
It's full of poopy.
John Silver's amazing.
Funny guy.
So funny. Yeah. John Silver's
John Silver's had a few this weekend too. Here's the Johnny Hungy.
Oh yeah,
the party boy. He's definitely lived up to party boy.
Johnny Party's got to be his new name, man. That boy can go. But man, yeah, I think that Punk just has to take this home. If it's the last match of the night, if it's the main event, like CM Punk's winning, the crowd's going home happy, especially after MJF retires Chris Jericho. Like once that happens and you have this after that, you got to give the people something to go home happy about.
Maybe it's my heel heart that says I would be totally fine with crushing the hopes and dreams of the city of Chicago.
I mean, after they beat the Cubs beat the Indians, I'm cool with crushing.
That would be awesome.
The hearts of Chicago.
Let's do it.
I just don't see it happening.
I get it. I know that I'm going to be in the vast minority on this one. But I'm used to that. I was the guy cheering Dave Bautista to beat Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, so I have no problem with that. I know I can sometimes be the bad guy, and that's all right. I just, it's so weird to me feeling like I'm the bad guy rooting for Darby Allin, the homegrown talent, the younger kid, the one that needs this opportunity to really break through in another way. CM Punk does not need, I mean, I get it. It's his first match back, and, losing on this kind of way would be deflating. And maybe that's why Darby is the perfect opponent. SPD is trying to convince everybody over there that he's been on the Darby Express and likes Darby, but I've been arguing with this guy from the day one. I will say this, Sunday, I think it's going to be a reminder tomorrow. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be reminded of why Darby Allin is so special. And even if he does lose, which, I understand all the reasons why CM Punk should win. I get it. But even if he does lose, I do think that having Darby Allin go in this stage and do what he does, I think it's not only going to be a great thing for Punk, because he's a great opponent that allows his opponent. Punk is going to be in a role where he's going against a kid who everything he does allows his opponent to look better. Every Darby Allin match is one that makes his opponent look better. Darby Allin is the guy who had Crayfish on here singing the praise of Joey Janela. Let's just remind the nation what that, let's be honest. Darby.
Joey's
for that reason, I'm out.
Darby is always able to make his opponent look like $1 million because of what he's willing to go through. The way this dude when he gets launched around, I love watching a Darby Allin match. I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with this dude. I think they're going to fall in love with his offense. I think they're going to fall in love with his heart. If you're new to the AEW scene, you're going to be impressed by what Darby Allin can do. He's a perfect opponent for CM Punk.
He definitely is. And so the way I book it, being at the press conference today, I really was starting to think, spider web mind, and it was all going. I was like, because it was like all over the place. And, I was thinking, I'm like, this would be a perfect way to put Darby to the moon. And he said it right. He's like, he doesn't care about what everyone else thinks. He's just going out there to do his business. But he said a lot of what clicked for me was a lot of new eyes are going to be on the AEW product. And the way to push a new company that's growing those homegrown stars would be to do something insane like CM Punk losing in Chicago. That being said, if it wasn't Chicago, I think the home court advantage lies into it with CM Punk. I can't imagine him losing. But also, this is going to be a win-win for the wrestling world, win-win for AEW fans, win-win for CM Punk and Darby Allin, because I have a feeling after this match that we will see something where it will ultimately lead to a tag team of Darby and CM Punk against hopefully it seems like 2.0 and all those things is going to continue a little bit, but it really would be pretty cool if we saw like the Men of the Year come out and try to spoil that and get some really big heat, because the Men of the Year have been doing some awesome stuff. So I would really like that as that. But like I said earlier, like, what do you guys think is the main event? Because this could be the main event, but CM Punk has been vocal about, the championship not being the main event. So if Kenny Omega and Christian Cage is the main event, I still do think there's going to be a surprise if MJF and Chris Jericho are the main event. I think, MJF comes out on top. This could clearly, obviously, be the main event as well. But thank you, DDL, for the refill on that as well. But anyways, it was very intriguing to me listening to Darby speak. And it made me want to be on the Darby Express. I was about to buy a ticket to the Darby Express because of listening to him, and I wanted to root for him more. But Bonds and I agree. This is the perfect story. Listening to Tony Khan on Unrestricted, that the CM Punk debut had more interactions than the Summer Olympics, than the NBA Finals, and all this stuff. And so it was the amount of eyes on the product. I think they will get more backlash if CM Punk loses than more praise if Darby wins. So CM Punk winning, it doesn't hurt Darby at all. It will not hurt Darby. And the quick way to put the Band-Aid on and to seal the wound is to have some kind of, after the match where they can team together, and then quickly both of them become winning together, and then boom, you forget about the loss. You remember the match being a banger match and his return match into Darby, a homegrown star, but also then you get some more momentum back on Darby's side as well. So I think the win-win for that on that as well, but it's definitely going to be, look in my eyes, what do you see?
Can I ask a question?
Do you like turtles?
Do you like turtles? No. Is it possible? I know AEW does not do a lot of DQ finishes.
Oh,
is it possible that Daniel Garcia and Team 2.0
I would be so
get
mad.
involved in this match and rob the fans? They've been promising that they were going to rob the fans of this match.
I hope they don't go.
Is it possible to go in and actually rob us of a real finish?
I hope they don't.
And you get that nuclear heat.
I don't think they need nuclear heat because they're already getting nuclear heat. They got it against Eddie Kingston and Moxley, and I don't think they need any more heat. I don't think they need the taste of the heat when they want a little bit of the taste. I think you can give the heat, even it is kind of predictable booking for them to come out after the fact. But even if they do come out, then Sting will come out, and then ultimately they'll finish the match. But I think you don't want to have that distraction. I think that's kind of Bush League distraction in a way when you have such a important match, especially if this was a main event. If this is the main event, if you have that Bush League distraction, I think fans will be a little bit upset. You guys know what I mean by Bush League?
I mean, clearly, yeah, Bush League. My ideas are Bush League.
To be fair, I also hate the idea of them getting involved. So you know, I don't want to see that either. I want this.
That's why you
I
do
want
it.
this match to. I know, but they already have enough heat. It's okay. You guys don't need to do that. Everybody hates you guys enough. It's okay. Like Daniel Garcia and 2.0, like you guys have done a great job getting heat. It's fine. You're good. Just keep up doing what you're doing, but not the pay-per-view. You know, get involved in the MJF
Maybe
Jericho
post-match.
match.
Maybe
Get-
post-match.
Help MJF retire Jericho. And then you got that heat, and we get to see CM Punk versus Darby Allin. We're good.
SPD asked the question, do you see this as the main event? I mean, because, going in, being in Chicago, feeling the crowd, feeling the pulse, watching, looking around and just observing FanFest, CM Punk shirts are everywhere.
I'm going to answer your question with a non-answer. I think that this match,
Justin
well,
Trudeau, yeah.
this match could be the main event, or Jericho versus MJF will be the main event. I think one of those two will be the main event.
Your two answers go directly against my answer.
Really?
I think that like if AEW is doing what I think is best for business, you respect the World Heavyweight Championship. I know that everyone. I think
it'll make sense when we talk about that match too.
I think let's be honest. I think out of these big matches that SPD is talking about, the Christian versus Kenny feels like the not to be disrespectful to Christian, because this dude he's already beat Kenny once. He's the Impact Heavyweight Champion,
the man.
Right? But I think that this is a match that I don't see Kenny losing.
I don't think he would have won. I don't think Christian would have won the Impact title if he was going to win the AEW title.
I get that.
So for me, that's my reasoning. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Kenny's going to keep the belt, but I think that's why if he didn't, if Kenny would have won that match, I might think the other way.
Yeah, I get that. I think that,
continue.
like,
I'm sorry for
no, you're good, dude. I think that you're right. And I think that, that's why there are some questions on whether, this is the main event, because as I think SPD's over there wondering, this one feels like the finish is less in doubt than, the tag title match, or even like we just argued the CM Punk versus Darby match. This one is a big match that I think a lot of AEW fans are going into this one saying Kenny's going to win this match by hook or by crook. There's going to be some antics. We don't see all of the elite losing their belts, right? So
not going to happen.
So, I understand maybe the argument. I can at least hear the counter argument for my stance. But I think that if you're booking if you're being respectful of the World Heavyweight Championship, and I think that AEW has done a great job of respecting the prestige of the AEW title. I mean, we think about all the ways in which championships have been hot-shotted back and forth between competitors in wrestling. The AEW World Heavyweight Championship, there's been 3 World Heavyweight Champions. And the title reigns have all been long
and great.
They've all been great. They've all been in unique. Jericho's was very different from Moxley's, and Moxley's was incredibly different than Kenny Omega's guys. So I personally think that if you are booking this show, you put the prestige on the World Heavyweight Championship. You put that at the top of the card. And if CM Punk versus Darby Allin was the main event in lieu of this match, that would scream hypocrisy to me, because Darby, like, the whole thing about CM Punk, the whole thing about him was that, when he was World Heavyweight Champion, how disrespected he felt that he didn't headline shows. I think that would be very, I don't think it would be ironic. I think it would be hypocritical if he's on a show and headlines the show over a World Heavyweight Championship match. I don't think that you can do that.
But ultimately, it's Tony Khan's decision. And I think that in Chicago, 7 years gone, it's not just a CM Punk match. This is the return of CM Punk. You know what I mean? But back on topic here, I completely agree with you, man. I think that Kenny Omega is not losing this title tomorrow, and I'm gonna die on that Hangman.
I think a lot of fans are in the same boat.
I want that match. I want Hangman Page to beat Kenny Omega because that's the perfect storybook ending for his story. And obviously circumstances right now, he's not here because, he's going to be a father. And
I want to throw that to you. You've kind of commented quite a bit on that. We've been boots on the ground here at AEW Fan Fest in Chicago. We've been everywhere. We've seen all the talent that you could see. And you made it very clear, like, man, it's weird not seeing Hangman anywhere.
He hasn't been anywhere.
There's no reference to Hangman here, folks. Like, it's as if he wasn't even on the roster. It's very weird. And I know that you're a diehard Hangman Adam Page fan. I think Bonds is sort of throwing you a softball here. It doesn't feel like Kenny's journey can end anywhere other than toe-to-toe with Hangman.
That match needs to happen.
I agree.
That has to happen.
And what do you think, SPD?
Absolutely. I mean, I keep going back and forth in my head of like surprise debuts and things like that. And after we talk about this match, I think we can talk about if a special someone does debut, where would you place the debut? But I would love to see this. I would love to see this match, obviously being a fantastic. It's going to be a banger, as we saw in the Rampage debut. And Christian Cage said at the press conference that he got the biggest pop in Pittsburgh at the Rampage debut. He said, watch the tapes and you'll see. But Britt Baker wasn't having that. But this match is going to be very well wrestled. And one of the more better wrestled ones on the card. But I would love to see this being the main event, and this be so. If this is the main event, that means Jericho's not retiring, because you're not going to have Jericho retire mid card essentially. And I hate saying mid card. I mean, there's 10 matches on the card. It's a A+ card.
And all the matches
Then
are awesome.
all the matches are awesome. But yes. If you didn't hear Crayfish, he said you have to buy the pay-per-view. But if you have Hangman Adam Page come out at the end of this and go face-to-face with Kenny Omega, it will leave us all bonkers. This is going to be our picks. We have unanimous picks of Kenny Omega winning this one as well. So we aren't split on this one. But so Team Dynamite Download does believe Kenny Omega is going to take this, but it has to be something afterwards. You can't have Kenny, if this main event, Kenny winning and you just leaving, with Christian Cage and others, in a pile of their own blood or whatever it may be. There's someone's going to leave All Out on a high note. How often does AEW leave us on sour notes? They left us on the Go Home Dynamite show on a sour note. They're not going to do that to us again. This is not, the Northeast company over there. So they're going to let us go home happy, give the people what they want. We have 10 matches and we're rolling through the card. And I think we have most of these matches, kind of booking like the babyface winning, team babyface on that. I think it's going to work. But anyways, this being said, Kenny Omega is going to win. We're going to have someone debut. Where do you see, I just mentioned, if we do have a surprise debut, whether it be Daniel Bryan, if that's getting pushed up, some of the rumors that we're hearing online, or maybe an Adam Cole. Do you think we have a debut on this match, or do you think Hangman comes back like I'm kind of pitching, or do you have a debut somewhere else on the card, and if so, where?
I don't think that anybody's going to debut during this match. I love your Hangman idea. I think that was the best point made tonight. I think that would be awesome. And that would be an amazing way if Kenny wins, which we all think is going to happen, especially because it's a little bit of a downer for everybody, but you get Hangman in there, that crowd is right back, ready to go, and that would make the finish work perfect if ultimately Kenny continues to be the champ, especially if there's interference. If there's something like that where the crowd is livid.
I think it's a great idea.
But I do think we are going to get a debut, and I think it's going to be the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, the man, the leader of the Yes Movement, a living legend. Yeah. And I think that once MJF retires Chris Jericho, To commentary, we're still going to see Chris every week. It'll be great. He does a great job. You can see, you go to Fozzy. You can watch him in action in Fozzy. It's great. And he can have unsanctioned matches. He can wrestle in Japan. There's lots of great stuff he could do. Having Bryan Danielson debut in that segment would be absolutely epic. And I want to see MJF's stunned face, the salt of the earth, the drizzling shits, stunned. But I will throw you guys a curveball.
That's the point too, right?
One second. I'll throw you guys a curveball as well. Ruby Soho, her vignette she's done on the internet have been awesome. And I think during the women's battle royale, especially now that it's on the card, it's not in the pre-show anymore. It's on the card. That would be an awesome way to debut her. And her 90 days were up a couple days ago. It's been under a week.
What if she won the battle royal?
That'd be great. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to pull that again where I pick somebody that we have no idea.
Right.
I made that mistake in the last card.
Yeah, it didn't work for you last time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, man, I think that would be an awesome way to get her debuted. The pop would be insane. Have her just be a surprise entrance in the last minute or whatever, however they do it, even if they have everybody in the ring to start it and have a new entrance come out. Her music, she's going to use that song as well. So it's going to be great. And we're all going to know it's her. And I think that would be so fun. Especially, we're going to New York in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And that would be, they would be hot for that. They would be selling a ton of tickets, especially if she debuted at All Out. We'd get to see some really cool stuff. And I think that would make the crowd very happy and pump everybody up.
You have to sprinkle in those moments of just bringing the crowd up. You got to have those in. You got to sprinkle them in, baby. No, I think that
what the heck is that?
I think that MJF versus Jericho. I'm with Bonds. No wonder why he's on
Team Heel. Over here.
We are unanimous. I think that again, and this falls in line with my philosophy. You have
beautiful good stuff.
You have Kenny Omega versus Christian at the end of the show, and although that doesn't feel like as big of a deal as CM Punk versus Darby Allin or MJF versus Chris Jericho,
it's the two champions of two of the biggest companies in America.
Thank you for saying that. Right, Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, Christian, the Impact World Heavyweight Champion, going toe to toe with each other. But if you have that return of Hangman at the end, the moment becomes big enough, even bigger, to fill that spotlight, right? In a card that is absolutely stacked with huge moments. Hangman's return, especially because it has been so quiet on the Hangman front,
would be a big shock.
It would be a big deal, and it would be a pop that would be able to end the show on a high note. Because yes, CM Punk beating Darby would be a high note, but I think that you both are underselling how split the AEW fan base is between Darby and CM Punk.
I completely acknowledge the fan base is split. We heard it last night, guys. We were at we're gonna hear that. We're gonna hear those chants. Last night, man, that Rampage crowd, great crowd, by the way. Anybody is there that was watching or that's watching now, it was a great crowd. You guys are awesome. But that crowd loves Darby Allin today at the Fan Fest.
As they should.
When they were announcing all the people coming in here to the meet and greet and the Q&A, Darby Allin, when he showed up, got the loudest pop out of anything we heard.
Bigger than Brit, man.
In both of the days of Fan Fest. He got the loudest pop. There's so many people with Darby face paint on all over. Hey, last night, this guy and Mr. Dynamite download.
Mr. DDL.
He got somebody in the lobby thought he was Darby Allin and came up to him asking for an autograph, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're underselling it. I think that the crowd is going to be split to a point.
That's why I feel like even more confident in saying that Kenny versus Christian needs to be the main event, because I do think that the crowd is going to be split. I think that they're going to, for me.
Where would you place that match?
Kenny, CM Punk versus Darby?
Where would you place that? Would you open with that? I mean, that would be a hell of an opener.
A hell of an opener. Yeah. A hell of an opener. And you do need to give enough space between that match, the Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros, and this one. I think that would be a great way to start the show. I don't know, man. That's a great question. What would you book as the main event is, to me, much clearer than where I would book CM Punk versus Darby.
Okay.
Because to me, I can say emphatically, without really any reservation, I feel like the World Heavyweight Championship needs to be in that spot. And
I understand that.
If I'm QT Marshall and
that should be the main event.
And I'm QT Marshall and I'm writing out this show, I would certainly put the World Heavyweight Championship at the end of the show. Yep. I think that Darby versus Punk is a wild card because that one is such a huge match and the stakes are so high. I don't know if you give that to people right away. I don't know. Right. That's hard. That's a tough one. Maybe you start off.
You don't want to kill the crowd by having that pop be so loud too.
How many times have we said here at Dynamite Download that when an episode of Dynamite starts with the Young Bucks, you know it's going to be a hell of a show. Yep. You know what I mean? When an episode of Dynamite starts off with the Bucks, I know every episode of Dynamite is a lot of fun and it's always a banger. There have been so few episodes of Dynamite that have not felt like incredibly well done episodes of wrestling television. But every single one that the Bucks start off with, it feels like the bar is set. And if the Bucks start off this one, I don't know, man. I think the crowd would be on fire.
And starting off the show with a cage match, tag team championship match. What do you think about that, SPD?
What would you do to start the show, and what would you be alongside me? Would you book Kenny versus Christian as the main event?
Yes, because I think something's going to happen after the Kenny match, and I've said that all along, even before the rumors of like DB or someone. But I think like it's just it makes sense because I fully support the champ being closing out the show. I like that motto, and you get to the top for a reason because you are the face of the company. And so, right. You should be in the main event always as the champ. Yes, I agree. That being said, we're going to start the pre-show off hot. And so you always have to start the show, to me, with a secure babyface win, just to get the crowd going. It would make sense like if you did put the cage so you can get it secure and you don't have a lot of delays. But with most pay-per-views, you do have those like vignettes and kind of build up the momentum. But just like looking at our all out prediction card here, it's really a toss-up. Like I feel like you could do John Moxley starting the show would be pretty convincing. John Moxley, because it's like you said, they're the backbone of AEW, and he'll coming out. But at the same time, you have a lesser known name in the AEW universe, and so it kind of in the nicest way kind of deflates that match a little bit, just because you're not, let's say, putting Moxley against a top heel. So it Young Bucks would be really great, but even. You could start as was originally planned, the Battle Royal. Battle Royal would be kind of fun to start.
Bonds and I are looking at this card. When you put it on the screen, we're like, all right, which is a huge match. How do you book this so that the crowd's not just constantly like just blowing up? I mean, you could already tell our voices are already strained.
I need like 12 cups of green tea.
I've been very proud of myself. My wife would be very proud of me too. I've been drinking a lot of tea with honey.
Not enough, bro.
Juice.
Okay.
So for those of you guys in the chat,
some of those cups have had some whiskey in them. I'm not gonna lie, but that said, there's so many matches on this card that feel like big, like emotionally invested, gonna be cheering your heart out type of matches. It's really hard to say what is a cool down match. It's wild.
Every match on this card is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I think the harder thing to predicting the winner is easier than predicting the order. I think predicting the order, like I enjoy to do on Dynamite, there's 5, maybe 6 matches at the most. And I don't think I've been right once. And then every time, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense, because I'm a mark.
TK is the man.
Well, I think that ultimately
and I'm a mark.
We're going to know what's going to happen in the show for a lot of the matches based on where they're placed.
Right.
Again, if Chris Jericho and MJF is the main event, bye-bye, Chris Jericho. Like,
Agree.
I'm sorry. And hello, Daniel Bryan. You know what I mean? I think that's the perfect
Right.
time to do, especially if you retire Chris Jericho at the end of the show.
What an emotional roller coaster.
You get that crowd right back, and you get them higher than they were the whole night.
You're right.
I like to
And-
look at the kind of like breadcrumbs throughout. Like Jericho's all along been on the face of this pay-per-view. Jericho all along, and they've focused more on this feud last Dynamite more than anyone else. You know, they had multiple segments. They had an MJF segment, they had a Chris Jericho segment, then they had a vignette about that. And so granted, like, yes, these guys deserve it because they're A-list feud for sure. But this was the one that just seemed more focused. So, and you could see the emotion on Jericho and JR's face. Granted, they're professionals for decades and upon decades, but I agree with you, Bonds. As we see each match kind of develop and in placement of the card, you can kind of predict results in a way. But it is so hard to book 10 matches, in the best way to keep the highs high and the lows low.
Yeah. And we're talking about how difficult it would be to book this show, and that's a beautiful thing. You got to love AEW for what they're doing and the way that they're building up so many talents and bringing in game changer talents. I mean, guys, one of the best parts about being here at All Out Fan Fest was being able to hear Malachi Black answering questions. If you follow us on social media, you saw your boy Crayfish.
He's so interesting.
Very intelligent.
Yeah.
Very intelligent guy.
Great perspective on the business.
Yeah. It's easy to see why he was brought in by this crew because this is a man that intellectually and creatively has a lot to offer. And you look at it, he's not on this card. And Andrade is another big name that they brought in, a guy who I see a lot of upside in. Andrade is one of those guys. He's got that swagger. He's got that it factor. It's hard to put your finger on it, but when you see certain people, the way they carry themselves, the way that the Ricky Starks is another guy. I know that you're a huge fantasy. And when
Ricky Starks dresses that way he does on Dynamite, Rampage, all the time, by the way.
We wake up in the
all
morning.
The time.
We wake up in the morning and we walk downstairs for a cup of coffee.
He's working out in that outfit.
Yeah, we're in a pair of gym shorts and we go down to get a Starbucks from the lobby and we see Ricky Starks. This dude, it looks like he's ready to go to a nightclub in Miami at 7 a.m. He's that kind of guy.
Always on point.
And you look at this card and you see look at the amount of talent and names that aren't on this card. And that's
look at all the names on it.
That's what I want to say about the health of this company moving forward, guys. Bonds started off this show really talking about how it feels like every pay-per-view, since it's quarterly, it really feels like every pay-per-view really feels like we're turning a page, we're going to the next chapter, or we're changing the landscape. SPD, if you can. I'll give you the stage, and I want to hear you and Bonds both tell me, going into All Out, what is a feud or a match that you think will signify the closing of a chapter, and what is a feud, a match, or a moment that you think will be the opening or the start of a new chapter as we head into the full gear era of 2021? So I'm gonna throw it to you, Bond, since you're sitting right next to me, and you're on team heel, and I think that your opinion matters a little bit more since you're on team heel. I want to hear your take.
Does Team Hale have any gold? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, that WCW belt.
Hey, you said that.
Hey, FTW belt. This could be just as good as the FTW belt.
Fair enough. I think that I'm going to answer your question with the same match.
Go ahead.
It's going to be the tag match. We're going to see the closing of the Elite's dominance in AEW. It's going to be the beginning of the end of that. And then we're going to see the beginning of a golden era of tag team wrestling in this company, which we already have. But you put the belts on the Lucha Brothers, and there's not that interference stuff. There's not the gimmick.
It's a different era.
It's not the jokey stuff, which I love that stuff. But it's hard to take it as seriously sometimes because of that. And I think that's so it's going to make the tag belts feels so epic when they're having banger matches with Top Flight, even Top Flight, young guys like that. There are so many great tag teams like that. FTR, when Cash is completely healthy, ready to go again.
Yep.
PNP, all these
Private
teams,
Party. I know you're a
Private
big
Party,
fan of Private
all
Party.
these guys,
Imagine
man.
Private Party versus Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Hell, you could see Moxley and Kingston go for belts at some point.
Yep.
There's a lot of amazing tag teams, and we're going to be, I think if that happens, that belt does change hands, or those belts change hands, we're going to be in a renaissance of tag team wrestling.
Look at my smile.
And
I hope that you all see it, because when Bonds is saying that, I love this tag division. I'm an avid fan, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Dax and Cash at FanFest. I wanted to, but SPD reeled me in from being too much of a mark. But I wanted to tell Dax that FTR helped me get through kind of a dark era of wrestling, and they gave me a little bit of that glimmer of hope. I love tag team wrestling, and these guys love the business, and they represent something that's different. And I think that they've helped usher in this tag division in AEW is the best that I've ever seen. And I can say that. I know that it's a lot of times we speak in hyperbole. It's very in this day and age, everything needs to be the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. Yep. You sometimes can gravitate towards speaking in hyperbolic statements, but I think
it's easy to do that. Easy to describe things like that.
I think when we look at the core of what AEW has built in this tag division, it really boils down to 4 tag teams, in my opinion, that serve as the foundation of something greater. You have the Young Bucks, you have FTR, you have Proud and Power, you have Santana Ortiz, Proud and Powerful, and you have the next tag team champions, the Lucha Brothers. Yeah, right. I think that these 4 teams, they represent teams that have done it everywhere around. I mean, FTR prides themselves on being a team that has they are the belt collectors. Yeah, we think Kenny Omega is the FTR is the belt collectors of the tag team wrestling, and you put them in a division like this. I think you're right. I think the Lucha Brothers can usher in a new era of the tag division, because I do think, as much as I love this tag division, I think that they have taken a little bit of a back seat of late, allowing the women's division, Britt Baker's rise, to kind of get a little bit more love, TV time. The Bucks have done a nice job, but I think that the tag division as a whole has taken a little bit of a step back as they've tried to build the women's division up.
And now we have Rampage.
And now that we have Rampage, and now that we see that there is opportunity for us to have weekly matches where the tag title is defended, I think you make a great point. The Bucks' reign was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been awesome.
But the Lucha Brothers tag team title reign will be built off of a foundation of matches that feel special.
Because the tag matches, in my opinion, are the best working man's matches.
You're not going to hear an argument on me.
And that's with all due respect to all the singles performers.
It takes a lot. It just takes a little bit extra to be able to connect with your partner and have that chemistry.
I think part of why AEW's tag division is so interesting is everybody's such a good tandem, polished and tandem wrestling.
How many times do we hear SPD week after week after week say, man, the chemistry, the polished nature of their tandem offense. I mean, you look at the Jurassic Express. I mean, you look at Santana and Ortiz, the way those guys just feel like they're a well-oiled machine together. When I hear you say that the Lucha Brothers are going to usher in a new era, a new, like the DMD is a new era for the women's title, the Lucha Brothers are going to do that. I just want to hear what SPD has to say, because I know that there is nobody that he marks out for quite like the Lucha Brothers. When you hear Bonds talk about this being a match that signifies the closing of one chapter and the opening of another, do you think that is in this tag team title match, or do you see maybe other options that come out on this card? Because there are a lot of matches to me when I look at the card that you throw this up on the screen. There are a lot of matches that I see that could potentially serve as moments that can catapult new feuds going forward. I look at this one and I say, man, there are so many moments where a door can close but another can open, if you know what I mean.
You make a great point for sure. I agree with that. I don't think, this is such a deep card. And we had some great deep dish pizza here in Chicago. Side note on that. But even if we do all agree that Lucha Brothers are going to take the gold and move on, I feel like the shenanigans of, the Young Bucks, crying and trying to fight their way back, they won't let them live it and have a clean win and move on from there. So I think they're gonna continue to push, maybe with the Lucha Brothers, a rematch. I don't think that's going to be in effect, or even so, if they do a rematch, they're not going to win their titles back, which would be fun to see them lose twice to the Lucha Brothers, because we would all win as fans. But to me, yeah, new bio is going to be like, oh, we're in Hawaii for the next few months or whatever. But
and life sucks for us, man. We're in Hawaii.
But anyway, I think the match, regardless of, even though I know Chris Jericho is going to win, that's going to be the kind of the closing and the move on. So even if Chris Jericho wins, when Chris Jericho wins, I feel like you can still have a debut of someone to pivot both guys away from each other. Like, what more? Yes, this can go on for years. I would be happy. I would be happy with Inner Circle and Pinnacle feuds going on for years. But with some of the unfortunate, injuries and things going on, I feel like we got some great stuff out of it, and I would be happy. I would be fulfilled. My cup would be full if that was it. Jericho wins. It would be easy to pivot away from all this and kind of spread away if there was a debut. If Jericho wins, and then ultimately MJF gets a beatdown or something where he's just calling Jericho out, and then something happens, like, that'd be a win-win, in my book. Jericho winning and then a debut, and that way MJF is now refocused on something else and someone else.
You want to know something, guys? I totally threw that question to you guys as a heel, because there are going to be multiple moments in this show that are going to do both things: close a chapter and start a new one.
I think that most of these
matches are going to be it. I did that just to be a heel. There is no wrong answer.
Based on our picks for a card,
you're right.
There isn't as many as you think, because a lot of the matches that we see, we kind of want to see, like, a lot of stuff stay the same. Progress.
It's true. Stretch it out a little bit.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this card so interesting, because ultimately these matches, most of them, I think, could go either way. Like I talked about with Miro and Eddie Kingston. You throw that belt on Eddie Kingston, that's a big game changer, because Miro is like that shows, oh, hey, he does have a chick in the armor. And if you start up a feud with those guys, I think that could catapult Miro into a different stratosphere.
I agree.
Of being just loved by the crowd in terms of what he does. Because if he loses that title, can you imagine the destruction that he's going to do to everybody?
Pain.
Yeah, it's going to be disgusting to watch on television.
I want to ask you one last question.
Ask me the question.
Can you imagine the destruction that I'm going to have on this cigar after this show? We're gonna celebrate with a little post-show cigar in the honor of
Cigars Under the Stars.
Fellow factory member Anthony Ogogo. I am now an honorary member of the factory. QT Marshall deemed it so this weekend. So we are going to wrap up tonight's show. We are going to go have a couple cigars under the stars, as SPD likes to say. Your boys here at Dynamite Download have had an absolute blast at AEW's All Out Fan Fest throughout this weekend. Rampage, meeting so many amazing fans out there. Really have been a lot of fun, guys. Cannot recommend it enough. If you can, come to an AEW event, come to a pay-per-view. They make it's a quarterly event, as Bonds mentioned.
This is like a week-long.
It's an experience.
I'm assuming this is how it is to be on, like, the Jericho cruise.
Yeah,
like,
which would be a lot of fun.
And guys, seriously, tomorrow we're gonna be tailgating right outside.
Come hang out.
We have a big Dynamite Download sign. Just look for us. We'll be by the entrance. the main entrance of the arena. Come hang out, come talk, say hi. We're gonna be playing beer pong, hanging out, just waiting for the show to start.
Listening to
listening
Cult
to
of Personality way too many times.
362 times. And it's going to be absolutely a blast.
Yeah.
And we can't wait. This whole weekend has been amazing. And tomorrow is going to be the ultimate nightcap.
Can we wrap up this show with the ultimate nightcap in what has been your ultimate mark-out moment of All Out weekend so far? Because I think we've had a lot of really cool moments. I'm humbled. I know we're very small fish in the big pond. Watching Busted Open, watching Dave LaGreca, watching what we saw this weekend, it is humbling. Those guys
hang out with the gun club.
They set the bar, right? It is inspiring. It makes us want to keep pushing forward. But I think all of us had different moments that kind of felt like mark-out moments. SPD, what's been the coolest moment for you this weekend?
It's been
You're on mute. Zoom. I can't.
There we go. Sorry. It's just been a lot of fun, experiencing this together. A lot of times I'm traveling on the road, even without my wife and stuff like that. And so it's like being able to experience different things together. But it's just being able, talking to some of the talent and seeing the talent in person that we've interacted with for so many weeks and months, and just to see how nice they are and just how like the family oriented stuff that we're seeing and we consistently hear. But ultimately one of my biggest mark out moments was meeting the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and I'm going to pull up that picture for you guys in just a second once I get it all situated. But while I do that, Crayfish, tell me what your mark-out moment is.
For me, obviously meeting Britt Baker was really amazing, but I think maybe
She's so nice.
Maybe I was a little too starstruck. I really didn't know what to say. There were two moments that really stand out. I thought that QT Marshall's promo that he cut yesterday
for us
was pretty humbling.
Thank you, QT. That was amazing.
I love QT Marshall, and I was the guy here. I know that I know that we're all now on board with QT Marshall. Let's soak in SPD's moment real quick.
This is the first time that I've debuted my eyes on the show. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cover it up.
Those eyes, Thunder Rosa, we also had a really cool moment where we were able to have kind of dinner with Thunder Rosa. And
she's the real deal, guys.
She's so cool, man. We were able to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Thunder. She came up to us, gave us a big hug. And that was a moment where I was like, oh my God. Thunder Rosa is somebody who I genuinely love. I think she's incredible. She's the real deal.
Yeah.
That's a moment where if I was a kid, Thunder Rosa would be one of my favorite wrestlers just based off of everything that she does. She's so passionate. She's so fired up. Her music and entrance is badass. And this is a woman who is on the road, on the grind all the time. And she came up to us and gave us a big hug, remembered us from our interview with her, and spent an hour just sitting down to SPD. SPD and I just sat down. We had dinner with Thunder, and she just talked to us. That was one of the coolest moments. I'll always remember that. And then the other was the QT Marshall. Dude, when we were at that Sammy vlog, that was one of the most unexpected, cool surprises that I've ever had.
Yeah.
This total moron tried to crash Sammy's event and kind of steal the spotlight away from the performers. And in typical QT Marshall fashion, he took this troll and he
turned babyface. Basically,
he absolutely lit this dude up. QT roasted this son of a bitch. I mean, campfire, put the marshmallow into the fire and let it turn black. He was that kind of roasting. QT ripped this dude apart, but in the process, he cut a promo, a passionate promo, using us as an example of what a good positive wrestling fan means. And he said it in the way, if you love this business and you want to be a part of this business, be like these guys, be like the Dukes of Dynamite, be like Dynamite Download. When he said that, and he talked the truth, QT went to bat for us. He went to the AEW media team and he told them, I'm having an interview with them. You can give them the runaround. I'm having an interview with them because I know that they are the real deal. They are all about building up the talent. And he told everyone in attendance, you need to follow those guys because that's what like being a fan really is about. Yeah. That was a moment where I'll remember that forever. No matter what happens with this journey on Dynamite Download, no matter where it takes us. I mean, obviously the dream is big, but no matter where it takes us, I'll always remember that moment. I mean, QT, it was so unexpected, and it was so raw and so real, and then we so talked to him afterwards, freaking cool.
He remembered us. It was awesome.
I am a QT Marshall Mark.
We're all QT Marshall Marks.
I'm glad that you guys are on board. Yeah. Bonds, what was your moment? I mean, because there's been some cool ones. Hobbs has gone out of his way. I mean, that's been really cool.
That was pretty awesome. And
right?
Guys, Hobbs is every bit as massive as he looks on television, if not more so. We've been around some beef this week. And the Powerhouse is the biggest human being I have ever seen in my life.
He's beefy, all right. He's double cheese.
A monster.
Yeah.
And the second day we were here, in the morning, he comes down, talks to us. We've been messaging Powerhouse. We're trying to talk to him on here. He goes, hey, you're the Dynamite Download guys. He comes over, shakes me and Crayfish are in the lobby. Shakes our hand. It was so nice and so cool. And if you guys don't know, he's been dealing with some personal stuff in his life, which is really sad. True. And he was open with us about it and honest about it. And that was really cool. And just a very nice human moment from a really cool guy that's living his dream and doing everything the right way. Another really cool moment for me, I'm going to go with a couple here because there's been some really good ones. Elevator time. We were in an elevator with Chris Jericho and Anthony Bowens. And Anthony Bowens recognized us. And he's like, oh, hey, you're the Dynamite Download guys. And that was awesome. And then Chris Jericho goes, who the F is Dynamite?
Yeah, I have no idea
who you guys are. It was awesome. And Jericho, I think, just got back from a Fozzy concert.
Yeah.
And, man, that was
a funny moment.
It was really hard not to just die laughing. It was so cool. And man, that was really awesome.
Hear you.
And honestly, anytime to go back to SPDs, anytime we're around Ric Flair, we were.
Dude, I was at a bar.
Yeah, we were sitting at the bar with Ric Flair.
There was a moment, guys. I was sitting at a bar. There was 4 people at the bar. It was me, Ric Flair, Christian Cage, and Frankie Kazarian. Just us 4 hanging out. And I'm like, what? How is this even happening? How is this my life right now? SPD, what is your number one mark out moment from this weekend? Maybe give us a couple. I mean,
bro, he already did.
Anytime you guys mention Ric Flair, I got to give a quick chop out, but I had to give Dynamite Download mascot right here a little quick chop. But yeah, I mean, it's just been great, man. I'm ready to go make some more memories. The weekend is far from over.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So we are wrapping things up. Hey, James, all you new people joining us today, thank you for joining us. Please follow us on all of our social if you want a lot of the great behind the scenes stuff.
Don't forget to hydrate.
And don't forget to hydrate as well. Follow us on Instagram because our story, we're posting a lot of stuff on there quickly with that we've experienced all day and we'll be experiencing tomorrow. If you are in the Chicago area coming to All Out, definitely hit us up, send us a DM. And we'd love to meet up with you to give you a couple of Dynamite Download stickers and things like that. So here's all of our social handles. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Head on over and fill out those bingo cards that we mentioned before. And we'd love to see your picks by you guys. So Thank you and good night. And we cannot wait for All Out. So follow us along.